This is a 2006 Ford Mustang GT with the 4.6 liter 3-valve modular V8. On the chassis dyno, it puts out 294 horsepower at the rear wheels and sounds okay doing it, but there's really nothing to separate it from the multitude of other Mustangs out there. And let's be honest, with the nearly 750,000 Mustangs sold since the redesign in 2005, it's kind of easy to get lost in the crowd. That's why this car has been brought to Ford Performance Specialist Pro Dyno for an upgrade. Pro Dyno owner Dan Desio plans to increase both the car's horsepower and its presence by installing a pair of Thumpr Stage 1 cams from Comp Cams. Comp's Thumpr lineup is ground to provide the best of both worlds. Its more aggressive lobes not only bring an increase in power, but they are also designed to provide a great exhaust note, which is often missing in modern fuel-injected cars. Plus, the Stage 1 cams are easy on the valve train and can even be used with the stock springs, valves, and rockers. On a Mustang modular engine, this is actually a very easy install and can be completed in an afternoon in your driveway. The first step is to remove any components such as a strut tower brace, wiring, fuel supply lines, or engine covers that are in your way. Next to come off will be the coils and the cam cover. You can do both sides of the engine at once, but for simplicity's sake, we recommend completing the cam swap on one side of the engine before moving on to the other bank. Finally, with the cam covers off, we can get to the cams. The first task when it comes to the valve train is to separate the stock cam from the timing gear. But before you do that, it's always a good idea to mark both the chain and the cam sprocket with a permanent marker so that you can ensure that everything stays properly aligned. The chain shouldn't have to come off the cam sprocket, but this is good insurance just in case. Ford also uses a chain tensioner that's hidden behind the front cover, but you can avoid having to take off all the accessory drive pulleys and brackets as well as the front cover itself to get to the tensioner by using this tool from Ford called a timing chain wedge. Its use is to hold the tensioner back and allow you enough slack in the timing chain to remove the cam sprocket and camshaft timing phaser from the cam while leaving the chain in place. Make sure that the chain stays on the sprocket so it cannot get misaligned on reassembly and throw off the entire valve timing. Most resources will tell you to use a spring compressor to take the pressure off the roller followers so that they can be removed before taking out the camshaft. The technician Paul Connor says he swapped out dozens of camshafts in Ford modular engines, skipping this step every time and never had a problem. We'll leave that decision to you on whether or not to remove the roller followers, but if you leave them in place, make sure to slowly loosen each of the cam caps in stages before removing them completely. Now the stock cam should lift right out. Sell it on eBay, throw it in the junk pile, or use it as a doorstop. It's your choice. The Comp Stage 1 Thumpr cams that are going in are designed to play nice with the stock valve springs, so we'll save time and money by not having to change the springs out. The lobe design should provide a boost in both power and torque through the middle and upper RPM range. The intake lobe specs out at 226 degrees of duration at 50 thousandths valve width. But the real secret to the great exhaust note this cam produces is the custom exhaust lobe, which has an additional 20 degrees of duration over the intake. After making a visual inspection of the top of the head and exposed valve train components, prepare the cam towers for installation of the new camshaft by adding a little lubrication. We're using Comp Cam's cam and lifter installation lube, which, as the name says, is formulated specifically to help protect and break in a new cam. Now, double check to make sure you have the correct cam for the side of the motor you're working on. They're specific to the left and right side of the engine because the length on the nose has to be different. Then, after gently setting the cam into place, apply more lube to the journals and even the lifters. Go ahead and try to orient the cam so that the holes and keyway in the end of the cam line up with the timing sprocket so that it should go right on when it's time for assembly. Reinstall the cam caps, and if you've left the roller followers in place, make sure to slowly tighten the caps down in segments, beginning with the middle cap and working your way out. What you want is for the cam to be pulled down evenly along its length until all the cam caps are properly torqued to 89 inch-pounds. Now slide the timing sprocket over the nose of the cam. If you find that the cam needs to be spun to get the keyway to line up properly and you cannot move it by hand, you can wrap the end of the cam between the sprocket and the first cam cap in a rag and gently grab it with a pair of pliers to rotate it. This should only be done as a last resort and never in the area of the valve train. The camshaft phaser bolts that hold the timing sprocket and the cam phaser to the nose of the cam is a torque to yield bolt, and it must be replaced with new hardware from Ford. Torque it to 30 foot-pounds and then turn it an additional 90 degrees. Don't forget to remove the chain tensioner wedge. After that, you're ready to reinstall the cam cover and all the other components to get the engine buttoned back up. Now it's time for the payoff. Connor cranks the car and allows it to idle for several minutes to check for leaks or warning signs. After we verify that everything's running correctly, it's time to take this Mustang to the chassis dyno so we can verify the power. Pro dyno owner Dan Desio put the Mustang on his chassis dyno for a little tuning. This also gives us a chance to check out the car's new sound all the way through the RPM range. The results are an increase in power and torque throughout the curve, plus an 11 horsepower increase at peak power. Desio believes this number should be even higher, except the stock intake manifold with its charge motion control valve equipment is still installed, and that can be a real restriction to airflow in the upper RPM range. Removing the motion control valve hardware can potentially unlock the power of these Thumpr cams even further. Overall, the new Thumpr cams from Comp Cams have made a real difference in the auditory presence of this Mustang. There's definitely no mistaking this bad boy for showroom stock anymore. Plus, there's more horsepower and torque on tap, and the complete cam swap was performed in a single afternoon.